Welcome back. So we finished off talking about Bhutan and Nepal. Now we're going to talk about the next two island countries, which are Sri Lanka and the Maldives. So we start off with Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is the little island right south of India. It's like a teardrop-shaped island just right off the coast of southern India, and it is beautiful. So Sri Lanka has beaches, dense forests, and abundant wildlife. It's a beautiful island country. A lot of people want to go there for tourism right now. It's like a bit, well, not now, but it's been an exciting place for a lot of people to go. It's like really a hot place to go right now for all these celebrities and all these places. Everybody wants to go to Sri Lanka. You know, it's this beautiful island. It has tropical climates, wet and dry seasons. So a lot like southern India, what we talked about, monsoons, hot, tropical, humid. It does have all that. It is an island country, though, so think rainforests and jungles and mountains and all that kind of stuff. Sri Lanka has been known for its agricultural economy. They grow rice. They grow tea. Tea is probably one of the biggest things. You know, if you go to McDonald's and you get a sweet tea, that tea, there's a good chance came from Sri Lanka, right? Tea plantations, tea farms. So it's also been famous for its sapphires, rubies, and other gemstones, precious gems that are mined in Sri Lanka. The whole island is actually shaped like a gemstone, right? Like a teardrop cut of a gem. In the past 20 years, Sri Lanka's economy has become more industrialized, though. They've created more factories. They've created more railroads. Actually, railroads are all throughout the country. They have more factories. It's an island country, so historically it has been a center of trade all throughout, all the places going to and from in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka has been a place historically that has been economically pretty strong because of all the trade that has gone on there. Places from the Middle East to India to Southeast Asia and back. It's been a very important place. So factories produce textiles, fertilizer, cement, leather products, and wood products for export. So these are some of the things they produce in Sri Lanka. Very, very important to their economy. New and growing industries, though, are telecommunications, insurance, and banking. So these are some things that are growing industries. These are probably some of the bigger, more money-making things today. Banking is one of the biggest things in this area. Telecommunications, TV, internet, phones, all that kind of stuff. These are things that are growing there. The British, though, ruled Sri Lanka, and they called it Ceylon. They ruled it from 1802 to 1948 when it became independent. 1 year after India got its independence, they also gave Sri Lanka. This is during that whole time right after World War II where, a lot of places are getting their independence from the British. The British own this huge empire, the empire where the sun never set, right? Well, after World War II, the British are pretty much bankrupt. They don't have any means to keep this empire together. They have also this, it's like, wait, you're committed to freedom throughout the world after fighting the Nazis, and then you also own this huge empire that is like a third of the world? Yeah, so the British start giving over independence to all these nations that they control, and Sri Lanka is one of them. So today, Sri Lanka is a republic. Colombo is the capital, main economic center, and largest city. There's two main groups, though, that live in Sri Lanka. It is the Tamils and the Sinhalese. I'm sorry. The Sinhalese and the Tamils are the two ethnic groups. They have not historically gotten along. One group lives in the north, one group lives in the south, and they have actually proposed to split the island into two separate countries at different points. But that has not happened. These civil wars have been fought between the Sinhalese and the Tamils and over control of Sri Lanka. So those are the two groups that you need to know as ethnic groups in Sri Lanka. The Sinhalese live in the southern parts and the western parts, so southwest, and the Tamils live in the northeast, north and east. And they speak Tamil and they speak Sinhalese. These are two different linguistic groups, different cultural groups. They also have different religions as well. So the Tamils and the Sinhalese have fought a violent civil war, especially in the 80s. that wreck the country. Civil wars are never good for the economy, right? Wars aren't good for the economy. People are dying. People aren't going to work. Businesses are being destroyed. Roads are being destroyed. Railroads are being destroyed. So it was really bad for the country in the 80s. The country has begun to come back, though. Obviously, it's been a while since the 80s. So they've come back. They're doing much better now. It's starting to industrialize, starting to get better in Sri Lanka. So the minority are the Tamils. The Sinhalese are the majority. And they claim that they have been treated unjustly and wanted to establish a separate nation that is just for the Tamil people. And of course, the Sinhalese disagreed with that and said, no, we're not going to do that. And seeing as they're the majority, they control the entire island, so they're not going to let them have their own country on the part of the island where the Tamils live. They're not going to do that. So they've kept them forcefully as part of the country. Ceasefire began in 2001, and there is not fighting still going on in Sri Lanka, but they don't necessarily get along all the time. So how has Sri Lanka benefited from its location? It's in the middle of the Indian Ocean, right? So Sri Lanka has profited because its location and its important ocean. It's an important ocean route between India, Indonesia, and Southeast Asia, and Africa and the Middle East. It's kind of like centrally located as a stopping point. Back in the day when you had to use boats, these sailing ships, they kind of bounced off the coast from place to place. This was a very important stopping place for traders. And of course, they get part of this economic system as well, where all these goods get brought into Sri Lanka. So it was good for them. But the Maldives are also in the Indian Ocean. Maldives are the last country we're going to talk about in this section, Section 3. It is a group of about 1,200 coral islands, low-lying islands, but 200 of them are really the ones that are actually where people live. So 1,200 islands, only about 200 of them are inhabited, which means 1,000 of them aren't. But the problem with the Maldives is that rising sea levels are causing the Maldives to quickly go away. Whether or not you believe in or agree with anything like climate change or whatever, the reality is that whatever is causing this or not, the Maldives are actually going underwater. The sea levels are rising, which is causing the Maldives to erode at a rapid rate. It is projected that within the next 100 years, the Maldives might not be there anymore because the sea levels continuing to rise. So their president, their prime minister in the Maldives has been very outspoken about trying to do whatever he can to try and save his country, because this might be the very first country to cease to exist from the face of the earth. Not politically, actually physically cease to exist, which is concerning, especially if you live in the Maldives. So many of the islands are atolls, which is a word that we talked about at the beginning of this section here. Atolls are ring-shaped islands, low-lying, that surrounds a lagoon, right? And a lagoon is a shallow pool of water near a larger body of water. So it's like a safer, secure little cove inside of this ring-shaped island, a lagoon. These low-lying coral islands. The average elevation of the Maldives is like 2 to 4 feet above sea level. So, any rise in water is going to affect a place like the Maldives, right? The climate is warm and humid. It's tropical. It's right there along the equator. So you can, you know what life along the equator, the climates are. We've talked about plenty of countries like this. And it's hot. It's humid. There's a rainy season. There's a dry season. And, seeing as the land is sandy and coral, agriculture is not great in the Maldives. Fishing, tourism are their two big things. And of course, they grow things like tropical fruits, and they grow coconuts and stuff like that, bananas. But farming is not hugely successful in a place like this because it's so sandy and not like volcanic soil. So tourism is their largest industry. That people coming to the Maldives. It's beautiful. The water is like crystal clear. It's blue. Beautiful, beautiful beaches. It's go while you can. Fishing is the second largest industry behind tourism, and this is historically probably the biggest industry. Before tourism now is the new big powerful industry, but fishing has historically been the biggest. They were a British colony as well. Oh, go figure, right? British owned them as well. They controlled the Maldives, and it became independent in 1965. It is a republic. They vote on their leaders today. They have a representative democracy, and most of the people, though, are Muslim in the Maldives, and this is because of all the people that came in from the Middle East, from Pakistan, places like that, Middle East, Saudi Arabia, not too far away from it. So traders, people brought religion to these places. Also, people moved into this place. So it is a largely Islamic country today. In that, you can notice if you look at their flag, it has the crescent moon on it, right? Anytime you see a crescent moon on a flag, it's a good indication it's Islamic, right? It's mostly Muslim. So the capital, though, is Male. And if you look up, Google search an image of Male. Male is an island that is completely one big city. The entire island is, there's not a lot of room left on the island. It's so densely populated. The entire island is just one large city. It's pretty crazy. Google image search that. It's pretty nuts. And that is where most of the people live. Why is farming difficult in the Maldives? Well, we already said. What is it? That's right. Sandy soil, low-lying, has poor sandy soil, limited number of crops that can grow there. Things like bananas, coconuts, tropical fruits maybe, but not a lot of crops you can grow in large amounts in the Maldives because of the soil is just so poor. It's sandy, and of course there's a lot of salt and all in the air and in the soil, and it's not very good for farming. All right, so that's the second part of this section. Make sure you read your chapter still. Make sure you look over all this stuff. Hopefully this helps you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Look forward to the quiz coming. I'll be posting a quiz on Friday over Section 3, so make sure you take that and try and be honest on that. Don't try and cheat, and I'm watching you. But miss you guys. Have a great day. Love you. See ya.